I had to cover up one of my wood racks, my firewood racks, because it's starting on Wednesday. It's going to rain for a week up here. It's about 11:30 a.m. on Monday, and I was out driving around running some errands, and I was just thinking about the last year, and I'm still trying to process the whole Elon Musk DOGE thing. I don't know if that was just an explicit quid pro quo because Elon pumped $250 or $300 million into Trump's campaign. And no, Elon Musk did not steal the election for Donald Trump. In all seriousness, guys, there's zero evidence of that. And I don't mean to sound like an asshole when I say this, but you sound like the Stop the Steal crowd at the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 when you say that Elon Musk stole the election for Donald Trump. It's really, there's zero evidence. The votes were the votes. And yes, Donald Trump won all 7 swing states, just like Joe Biden did in 2020, and just like Donald Trump did in 2016. That's why they're called swing states. Winning all of them is not an indication of fraud or deception or tomfoolery. I understand the emotional response when people say that Elon Musk stole the election for Donald Trump, but that is all that is. It is an emotional response. There is no evidence at all. None. Anyway, there are so many ways to look at the DOGE thing. First of all, I think it was the largest scale in broad daylight theft of personal data of Americans that this country has ever seen. This is something that's going to be investigated for years. It's going to be looked at for years. But I think at the core, that was the utility of Elon Musk and his Doge bags, those little college kids like big balls running around. It was the largest scale theft of personal data of Americans that has ever occurred in this country. Second, what was the first thing that they did? What was the very first thing that Elon Musk did? Is he obliterated USAID, which was about $6 billion a year of the annual budget. USAID is a program, I've read a whole lot about this since this happened. I'd never heard of it when they announced that they were doing away with it. It provides medication, food support to the world's poorest people around the planet. And I read several estimates that said that over the previous 20 years prior to the beginning of 2025, USAID and the medical and food aid that had been distributed around the globe during the prior 20 years had saved 90 million lives. There was no constituency to get rid of USAID. There were no commentators on Fox News banging the drum saying we have to get rid of USAID before Donald Trump was inaugurated. There was no cohort in Congress demanding that we get rid of USAID. Everyone recognized, everyone who was reasonable and whose brains haven't been pickled over the last 20 years by Fox News, everyone recognized that it was a very inexpensive way for the United States to exercise its soft power around the globe and give the United States a good image in the poorest countries in the world, while also saving 90 million lives every 20 years. There's a very strong moral component to this. And by eradicating that program, There was an article and like a 20-minute documentary, I think, in the New Yorker a month or two ago that basically said, as a direct result of eliminating USAID, 600,000 people have died this year, just this year, in less than 12 months. And 60% of those people who died were children and infants. You know, the pro-life crowd, pro-life if you're white and straight and Christian and Republican. And there's an article out in ProPublica. I haven't read the whole thing. But a month after USAID was obliterated, some of Trump's aides held a party where they had a sheet cake celebrating the elimination of multiple forms of foreign aid, including USAID. And at the time, excuse me, at the time they had this little party and this little celebration where they sang songs and had sheet cake, they knew that the assistance coming from USAID was going a long way towards preventing a full-blown cholera pandemic in Sudan. And knowing that obliterating this aid would hasten that pandemic, and it did, and it killed thousands of people, they celebrated by having sheet cake and they sang songs celebrating the deaths of people who didn't look like them. And the moral rot of people who very loudly proclaim their evangelical Christianity while cheering on the things that ICE and Customs and Border Patrol are doing to immigrants in this country, and any number of heinous, horrific things, cheering on the boat strikes off the coast of Venezuela, cheering on what Israel is doing inside the Gaza Strip to Palestinian civilians, women and children, elderly, teenagers, and while cheering on the elimination of USAID it's going to result in the deaths of millions of people. And you know, it's not going to happen within the next couple, 3-4 years, but there will be a reckoning for this. Elon Musk is younger than me, and he is going to be personally responsible for the deaths of millions of the world's poorest people. And the response to that is to give him $1 trillion pay package and to make him the world's first trillionaire. It's just so disgusting and gross. You know, I mean, there was an article, I want to say the New York Times, I can't remember, that I read a couple of months ago about a guy who was in a refugee camp. It may have been in Sudan. And he watched, I mean, he was there. They were getting food from USAID. That food stopped, and he watched his 2-year-old little boy slowly starve to death over the next couple of months because of Elon Musk and because of Marco Rubio and because of Donald Trump and because of United States Republican Jesus evangelical Christians cheering on shit like that. And it's just ethnic cleansing. They're by relentlessly tweeting out the word remigration, Department of Homeland Security, remigration is ethnic cleansing. And they are conducting an ethnic cleansing in the United States of America. There are too many black and brown people for them to actually accomplish it, but they're going as hard as they can. They're going to get rid of as many people as they can. And now Donald Trump wants to take away citizenship from everybody in this country. Your citizenship is going to be conditioned upon agreeing with him. And there's going to be an accounting, and Donald Trump is going to be viewed on the same level as Adolf Hitler someday. as will Elon Musk.